Good day to you. Welcome back to ANS 325. Today is Thursday, October 16th, 2014. The South Stream project, an oil pipeline started back in 2002 and expected to be fully operational by 2018, is currently a hotbed of political activity. Due to this becoming, quote, beneficial for European customers, end quote, Tsar of Russia Vladimir Putin has threatened supplies from Moscow to be reduced if Kiev starts siphoning deliveries to the West. Former CIA Director and Defense Secretary Leon Panetta has revealed official plans of a war between North Korea and the United States, including the idea of nuclear strikes. Going as far back as 2010, a briefing in Seoul, the capital of South Korea, manifested a plan to use U.S. military force if and when the Norks set foot into the DMZ between the two countries. Anyone else remember Fukushima? Anyone else know that it's still possibly leaking tons upon tons of radioactivity into the Pacific Ocean? No? Well, here's something to wake you up. Ever since last week's typhoon that passed over Japan, radiation levels at and around the modern-day Chernobyl have reached record highs. 3 times higher to be accurate, with the levels of the radioactive isotope cesium at 251,000 becquerels per liter. Child Protective Services aren't only trigger-happy in the US, but in Norway now, it seems. 5-year-old Oscar Shianuk was legally kidnapped from his school after he had mentioned how his mother had accidentally knocked out a loose baby tooth while helping the child put his shirt on. On top of preparing for a war with North Korea, the US wants to fight with Russia. Doesn't come as a surprise, since just several days ago ISIS declared a similar intention. Deploying tanks across the Baltic states and Poland for the next 2 weeks, the UN, self-described involved in peace, is making a very aggressive move. But hey, history repeats itself, right? I mean, the CIA created Al-Qaeda 30-some-odd years ago to remotely fight a war against Russia. Recently, we sided with the same terrorist group to fight ISIS, and now ISIS and the US have similar goals? The secret's out, shadow government. Research has revealed something very interesting about our galaxy. The Milky Way is a giant thief. It has been discovered that the reason our neighboring galaxies don't have as much star-forming gases within them is because our galaxy's gravitational field pulled it away. The more it did this, the bigger it got, thus increasing its gravity, and the process only ramped up. According to our current political figurehead, the chances of Ebola taking hold in the US are, quote, extremely low, end quote. He even enforced this point by hugging and even kissing nurses whom have treated the minute cases we've had. This brings up several thoughts. If the fearmongers of our media are actually correct this time, then our president has Ebola. However, knowing how the system works, there is a cure for Ebola, and they have it, and our commander-in-chief is now immune. Another possibility is that our media is, once again, just trying to scare us to keep us blind to what is really happening. Speaking of perpetuating fear, yellow fever-infected mosquitoes are apparently causing a stir in Los Angeles, California. Hey, mainstream media, winter is just several months away, which means this fear attempt is set to die due to mosquitoes don't survive well in cold areas. So, unless the virus magically mutates, defying all laws of nature in order to secure this other scare tactic for your convenience, just shut up. People are finally realizing what I've known for years. Children are much smarter than they let on. They are not innocent, especially if they have access to the internet. The way children behave starts at home, and using things like TVs and computers as free babysitters is just not the way. Yes, I know the way things work these days are different, but if you are so financially unsecure that you need to have a free babysitter, don't have kids. This is all said because the parents of 2 obnoxious children have been declared responsible for their children creating a fake Facebook page and virtually assaulting a classmate. After having served 29 years in jail for a murder he didn't commit, Brooklyn resident David McCallum was finally released today. He had been non-physically tortured by police into confessing, most likely due to racism. And further proof that this whole Ebola epidemic is nothing more than preposterous, I bring you this image. While transporting Ebola patient Amber Vinson from an ambulance to a faster means of transport, a man can be seen. Although everyone else is wearing full protective gear, he is not. So, what does this mean? I leave the speculations up to you. Today, from the past. In 2012, the extrasolar planet Alpha Centauri BB was discovered. In 1975, Rahima Bano, a 2-year-old girl from the village of Kuralia in Bangladesh, was the last person to be infected with naturally occurring smallpox. In 1968, U.S. athletes Tommy Smith and John Carlos were kicked off the U.S. team for participating in the 1968 Olympics Black Power Salute. In 1964, China detonated its first nuclear weapon. In 1939, during World War II, the first attack on British territory by the German Luftwaffe occurred. In 1934, Chinese communists began the Long March. A year and 4 days later, it finally ended, by which time Mao Zedong had regained his title as party chairman. In 1923, the Walt Disney Company was founded by the Disney brothers, Walt and Roy. In 1939, William Howard Taft and Porfirio Diaz held a summit, a first between U.S. and Mexican presidents. In 1843, Sir William Rowan Hamilton came up with the idea of quaternions, a non-commutative extension of complex numbers. And in 1781, George Washington captured Yorktown, Virginia after the Siege of Yorktown. Geek News. Unfortunately, there was no geek news today, which brings me to this. That is it for the show today. Links to everything I've talked about, as well as more information on those stories, are in the underbar. Don't forget to look right and left at every intersection and rate 5 thumbs and subscribe. I'll see you tomorrow.